Syria has been liberated by the terrorists from the other terrorists. The wonderful news coming out of Syria is that Sunni jihadists affiliated with Al-Qaeda in Turkey have liberated Syria from the Hezbollah terrorists affiliated with Iran. This is really good news if you're a Sunni. It's really bad news if you're a Shiite or a Christian or a Kurd or a Druze, but the media doesn't care about any of those people, so it's probably okay. The Sunni jihadists will now be in a position to oppress the Shiites the way the Shiites oppressed the Sunnis in the past. Or as the media calls it in the Biden administration, creating an inclusive government. By inclusive government, of course, they mean a government that includes the entire spectrum of jihadis with beards and machine guns promising to make their form of Islam supreme. Prisons are being opened up and the media is broadcasting the tearful scenes of prisoners being set free from the jails. And of course they're not broadcasting the scenes of people being shot by the side of the road by the new jihadis who are not even bothering to take prisoners. Now, I'm not saying that the past regime was good guys, or that this regime are good guys. There are no good guys in this. Both sides believe in making themselves supreme over all others in the name of Islam and killing anybody who gets in their way. They're only good guys to members of their particular tribe, members of their particular religious group, and they're bad guys to absolutely everybody else. And this is a key thing to understand about the Middle East. Of course, when we tackle the Middle East, we get everything backward. That's why the Biden administration and the media are claiming that the jihadis who are already brandishing caliphate flags and declaring this to be a victory for the Islamic nation, jihadis who, by the way, until recently, were actually had a $10 million reward on the head of the current leader Al-Jawani, a fellow who came in and the media is saying that he is now moderate because he underwent a makeover and no longer wears a turban and now just kind of dresses like Zelensky. He underwent queer eye for the Syrian guy and now he's a moderate. And yet he went out there and declared that this is a victory for the Islamic nation. When the interim Syrian prime minister from a Muslim Brotherhood group stepped in, behind him was a battle flag of the caliphate, the jihadi flag. So it's a victory if you're a Sunni Muslim. It's an inclusive government if you're a Sunni Muslim. But of course, when it comes to the Middle East, we often get things backward. For example, despite ongoing fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, the administration has been celebrating the fact that there is a ceasefire. According to the administration, it's a ceasefire as long as fire has ceased somewhat. Or as John Kirby, the national security spokesman, said that it may not. We want to get it down to 0 strikes, but until we do, it's still the ceasefire is holding because there are fewer strikes. I'm paraphrasing a little bit there. So if you can have a ceasefire that doesn't cease fire, you can have an inclusive government that is actually extremely exclusive. Likewise, you can also claim that there's genocide in Gaza despite the fact that the population actually grew in Gaza. You can also claim that there is famine in Gaza despite the fact that there's been about half a ton of food delivered per each person in Gaza, which you think would make them morbidly obese, and indeed photos show some pretty chubby Hamas fighters. But this is what happens when you make everything backward. You reverse the definitions of basically understood words, and then you declare that good is evil and evil is good, that terrorism is really peace. Islam, of course, therefore, is a religion of peace because it is actually the religion of terror. And the terrorists are here to create an inclusive government. Because what else would they possibly create except an inclusive government? An inclusive terrorist government, of course.